Good
Today we're gonna
morning.
talk about two things. One is how to monitor students using the ICAN notebook, and the other is for you to be able to make your own lesson plan. So later, after our session, I'm gonna give you time to maybe create a sample of a lesson plan, and then Sir Bruce would see that. Okay. Um, so as I was asking earlier, since you've already taught students before, how do you usually monitor the progress of your student, or let's say every day? What do you do?
I just ask them questions and I give them exercises and activities.
Okay, so those things. All right. So in terms of like actual monitoring, what do you use like a notebook, or your company provided something like let's say maybe your own printed copy, like how you track your progress, like a diary or something. Is there something like that
Yes, sir. For some online companies, they have their own platform for that,
for record?
and we usually take note of their progress. We have the class comments, and
Yes.
we put everything that has transpired in the class.
Okay, that's right. Oh, so that's nice. I mean, that's exactly what we're gonna talk about today. How, as an icon teacher, would you do something like that? Okay. So, can you see the screen? Can you see this um, Google Drive?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what we do is we actually print a copy of a notebook. So no, we actually order a copy of it. It's called ICAN notebook. ICAN Caterpillar. ICAN Caterpillar is the student's diary, wherein the teachers would record the daily activities of the student, homework and stuff, as well as used for. It is also used for monitoring their vocabulary. Okay. So, just to show you, there are actually four versions of the ICAN notebook. One is
Mhm.
for grade 4 students, and the other is for grade 6 students. I mean, grade 1 and grade 4 students.
Grade
So,
1 and
grade
grade
1 and
4.
grade 4. But what happens is depending on the level of the student, if their level is like beginner, we usually give the G1, okay, ICAN notebook. And then if the level is higher, it's G4. So it doesn't mean that if they're grade 4, they already get that. Sometimes
Mhm.
it depends, still depends on the level of the student. But yeah, that's just to show the difference. And then each level will have its own duration. So grade 4 and grade 1 has week 4, 4 weeks and 6 weeks. Okay. So there's four in total. So I'm gonna show you first the grade 1 ICAN notebook. The only difference of 4 weeks and 6 weeks is just it's longer, basically, because usually when students enroll to us, they do the classes. It's either for 4 weeks or for 6 weeks or even longer. But yeah, those are the standard duration. So 2 months and 1 month, like that. Okay,
Yes.
so the first page of the Caterpillar, it is already the daily monitoring report. Okay, so this is what teachers fill out every day. So as you notice, one page has four sections because normally a student would study with us for not 4 hours, like 8 hours, which means one teacher will handle 2 hours, another 2 hours, another 2 hours, another 2 hours. That's the maximum, or that's the at least for some students, for most students. Okay, so if your teacher number two, let's say your shift is your schedule with this student is 10 to 12, it means you would have to fill out this area because this is for 8 to, or it doesn't matter actually. What we
Mhm.
follow is like pang ilan ka dun sa mga teachers niya. So if you're the third
Mhm.
teacher, then probably this one. And how would you know? Well, you will know because the first teacher already filled this out. The second teacher already did this. Okay? So, hindi naman siya time-based eh. Like, this is 8 to 10. Hindi. Kasi, what if the student's first class is 10 to 12? It means ito yung unang i-fill out ng teacher. Okay? So,
Mhm.
you will know anyway. But, pang ilan ka sa mga teachers niya. So the first teacher, whoever is the first teacher of the student, will write the date here. So for example, the date is on Monday, so you have to write the date here, Monday, and then it's quite self-explanatory, like how you fill this out. Of course, you write your name here, like what time is the student studying with you. So if it's 8 to 10, just write 8 to 10, or 10 to 12, or 1 to 3, and 3 to 5. So those are the regular shifts. And then for class, what type of class is this? Is this, for example, a TED class? Is this what? Is this reading to vocab? Is this, the subject book club? So we have a lot of subjects, but this is where you put it, okay? And then after that, um, what's your class gonna be again?
Um,
Do you have already an idea?
um, I was just given one student, and I believe he will start after the holiday.
Ah, so Tuesday.
Holiday.
Hmm.
Yes, sir.
And what's
I will ask.
Yeah. Did they
Mhm.
specify what subject already?
Not yet. First, it was business English,
Uh huh.
but I have to meet the student so that I would know what he
Exactly.
really
Okay.
wants to study.
So if that's the case, maybe uh, until you've specified exactly what kind, but if not, then you can just write business English or adult students. Sometimes that works. Okay, but
Um,
it's just for
yes,
identification. Okay,
yes, sir.
and then book materials. Yeah, the book that you have, the business English for blah blah blah. That's what you write here, or maybe you don't have to write the whole thing. Just maybe something that if I read it, I would understand that's the book. So this and then blah blah. Okay, or write the acronym or something. And the lesson. This is for this is for today's lesson. Or if the student is not really following a lesson plan, then what focus skill are you targeting for today? So, for example, if it's just free talking, if the student is like not really taking a course just for sometimes students are like that, they're only doing
Mhm.
free talking, so you can just write, yeah, free talking, or you know whatever skill they want to focus. So if your student is business English and or let's say TED, then you would write here your subject for today is you could write the page of the book, and then focus skill, maybe you're targeting speaking, or you're targeting, it's more of like for the people who would see this to understand quickly what you're doing in class. So it doesn't have to be very 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 specific, but just maybe the pages, and then what what topic was that, like was that reading, writing, or was that, you get it. So anyway, later you will see some samples of the ICAN notebooks. Sir Bruce has those. You can use them to to review, okay, how this other teachers would do it. But yeah, basically that's it. For homework, again, you don't really have to write the exact homework here. If you've given homework, let's say page 12 to 13 of the book, then you just write here the name of the book and the page. So that they just know, oh, I have homework today. My teacher gave me homework. So it doesn't have to be exactly the whole thing. But if you're not using a book, maybe you can write here the actual homework. Like write an essay about animals, like that. So this is that area for. Okay. Okay, so let's say you fill this out. Now we're gonna do the class participation. So how do you grade this? Normally you just check. 5 is the highest, 1 is the lowest. So For today, was your student paying attention to you like the whole time? Then you give them five. Retention, how well the student understands or remembers what you taught him or her. Then if it not, then maybe three or two. Comprehension, their understanding, maybe three. Attitude, if they're rude, then one. And then the comment section is like maybe this is where you write the most important thing that maybe the parent should know. Like if, for example, the student was really rude today and did something wrong, maybe you can write it down. He's not listening to me and he was like not following my instructions. So you can write it down so that because the parents would review this, as you can see at the bottom, they would have to sign this every day, so that we know that their parents, know what they're doing. So if ever there's like a concern, like your student is very rude, although it doesn't really happen. I mean, it's not. It doesn't always happen. Most of the time, our students are shy and they are guided by their parents anyway. Okay. But if ever, yeah, you can always write it here, and then you can report it to maybe tell Miss Gemma about it. Okay. So that
Yes.
Mr. Bruce can talk to student right away, and we can correct it. Okay. So yeah. But anyway, that's that area for. So as you can see, it just goes on and on because that's exactly what it is for. It's for monitoring the student. So if there's only two classes for this student, then there's only one and two, and that's it. Okay. All right, and then let's move on. So after there's about a total of since this is the book for 4 weeks. It has about maybe times five, five and five, maybe 20 pages, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 20 pages of this, five for each week, and then 4 weeks. So yeah. All right. If they're taking book club, this is how the teacher would write it down. I mean, would grade the students. So book club students, they are the students who are reading a specific book. So it could be Harry Potter. They're reading Percy Jackson, any kind of book that they prefer. And then what we do is we record their score as a book club teacher. So every day we record their vocabulary, the homework, and the quiz, and then their daily activities if there's a sit work or a homework. And then for their weekly activities, we have the test and storytelling. So it depends on when they happen. Okay? So if the test happens day five, then just write it here. But if it's every day, then you know that's how it works. So 4 weeks also. For information reading, we also have the same thing, reading to writing, okay? And then expand your vocabulary. So basically, this is just for recording the scores, and this is for the monitoring the students. Now, what is expand your vocabulary for? Okay, so expand your vocabulary. Um, as you can see, we have here the class and the book. So and then the teacher's name, and then the date and time. So every day the student would also fill this out as a maybe as a homework. Okay. So every day, if the student is grade 1 to 3, or if using the grade 1 book, we only give them 7 vocabulary words. So after each class, you need to give the student a word. So all you have to do is to write the word here, this space. So maybe apple, and then maybe write N so that we know that you're referring to the noun, right? So the point of this is for the students to fill this later on at home. So it's like this is also one of their homeworks. Okay. So at the end of the class, you will write words here that you think the student should know. If the student is studying, let's say Harry Potter, then we should give them words related to that. We should not give them words that are totally unrelated because probably they will not remember. Okay, just give them seven for
Yes.
today. All right, and then so after writing seven, so You can also write here that you gave them as a homework, aside from the one in the book, you also give them 7 vocabulary words. For your student, adult student, it ma it might be a different approach. I'm not sure, but if you're gonna handle a student, a kid, probably it's gonna be this. Okay, but we'll figure out. Okay, but just to just for your information, that's how we will do it. So you will write down the words here. And then the next day, the student will return to you. The first thing you will check is of course, their homework and this one. So it's time for you to check now. They will write here a translation in Korean. Of course, you wouldn't know. So let's just hope that what they wrote is right. But there's it's gonna take time if you will check everything. So just yeah, for as long as they've written something, then you're good. And then here, sometimes if the student is very young, what we do is we also write the definition. So what this is what you fill out, the word and the definition. For example, apple, a red fruit that is sweet. So you don't have to complicate it, just make it simple, you know. And then they will find the translation. They will write here the Korean translation. And then they will draw here. That's the homework. So they will draw here. You will see a drawing. And then they will make a sentence. So you have to also instruct your student how to fill this out. Tell them that they need to write the translation using their dictionary. They will make a drawing. If they cannot do the definition, then you just write it down yourself. And then they will make a sentence. Okay? So how are you gonna check it? You check the translation, you check the drawing, and then you check the sentence. Now if there are corrections in the sentence, for example, she said, she eat apple. So we need to correct eat, right? So you say, oh, eat, it should be singular form. So eats. After you correct it here, you request or we require the student to rewrite it here so that they know what went wrong. It's more like we are forcing them to write again so that they hopefully the information is retained. So you do that 7 times for today, okay? And then after the that after checking the homework, then you can now start with the classes. So just to give you an idea on how you can use this notebook, this is what I suggest. So let's say the first thing you do in the morning is to get their ICAN notebook because you will check this. Of course, you've given this the day prior, right? The so you check this, and then after checking, you track the score, of course, or maybe you will write the score here somewhere. The total, like 7 out of 7, right?
Yes.
And then let's say you are already doing the lessons and stuff like that. Before the class ends, you borrow the notebook again, and then go to, of course, the day here, like whichever the day you're filling out. So if it's today, then you start filling out. Maybe personally, what I do teach is I fill this out during while the student is doing an activity. So let's say second hour, I'm gonna give a student a seat work. So I'm gonna ask a student to write maybe an essay or fill out or answer a page, an activity in the book. Kukunin ko na tong notebook na to. So susulatan ko na my name, yung time, yung class, and then focus today homework. So, binigridan ko na siya and then comment. So by the time that the class is done, tapos na rin yung ICAN notebook mo. Hindi mo na kailangan i-fill out during the 5 to 10 minute break, diba? So just make sure na hindi masyadong nababother si student. Just make sure na pala kayong busy. Hindi yung si sulat nakatunga nga tapos ikaw nagsusulat ka dito. So parang ano lang, sneak lang. Ano lang. So just try to fill it out whenever there's a chance. Para hindi ka rin masyadong ma-stress later. Okay? But some teachers they borrow this and then after the class and then they start writing. Pwede naman ganun, but it's up to you. Ako I suggest multitasking is gonna make your time I mean it's gonna make life easier for you. Kasi during break
Yes.
at least you can focus on the next class. So by the time the bell rings, at least everything is done for the student. Okay. So anyway, for as long as you have the information. Okay. So after that, after you fill that out, you will go to the next page of this. Let's say this was the homework. So sulat ka ulit ng bagong word. Or sometimes, while your student while you and your student are studying together, every time na may encounter kang word na nahihirapan siya, pwede mo nang isulat dito yon during class. Okay lang naman.
Mhm.
Para multitasking na rin. So it's like, you can save time for yourself as well. Okay? But again, the 10-minute break is normally for this. But yeah, I suggest pwede namang gawin during class. It's fine. For as long as
Opo.
hindi nababother si student. Or, if busy siya. So during the activity time, kunin mo na yung notebook niya. Together, magsulat din kayo. Okay? Para pag nakita rin niya, sir, hindi niya nakikita na yung student nakatingin sa pader tapos ikaw nagsusulat. Baka ma-misinterpret niya, di ba? So,
Opo. Yes.
it's much better na i-multitask mo na. Kaya naman yan. You know. And most of the time naman, when they're doing their activity, tingin lang din naman tayo sa kanila. Iniintay ko nang matapos. So, yeah. So that's what we do. We fill this out. And then, okay. So, parang yun yung purpose na. Okay, let's see. There are many pages because they will be given many vocabulary. Most of the time, uh, at least two teachers do this. Two teachers give vocab. You would know. You will be informed if you will give vocab. But if not, then yeah, there's no. So quiz challenge. Ito pala. Okay. So after nung ma-checkan yung homework ng student na vocab, pupunta ka dito sa page na to. Okay? So you will give the student a quiz based on that homework. So parang ito yung flow niya. Pagdating ng student sa classroom, the first thing you will check is itong ICAN notebook. Okay, check the vocab of the students, yung kanina, di ba? And then correct, and then mabilisan lang. You don't really need to focus on that. Just make sure na student malito, then rewrite. Pag okay naman yung mga perfect naman, then there's no need. And then after that, after checking, and after writing the score, punta ka dito sa quiz challenge, okay? So for the quiz challenge, what you do is using the same words, you just make the student fill this out. So for example, number 1, okay, pwede mong i-randomize. What is the item based on the description that you provided, based on the description here. So if you provided a red fruit, ganyan, sabihin mo sa kanya, okay, number 1, what is a red fruit? And then they will write apple. Number 2, mabilisan lang. You don't have to focus really. Parang, like, mga siguro 1 minute matatapos to yun. Mabilisan lang naman siya. So, or 2 minutes. Okay, number 2, what is the ganyan, ganyan, ganyan. So, parang babasahin mo lang din naman kung ano nandito. Kung ano yung description that you provided. Okay? Ang goal is nire-reinforce natin yung vocabulary na binigay mo. So, parang uulitin lang niya. So, check mo siya. Kung tama naman yung mga sagot niya, then no problem. If not, for example, mali yung spelling ng apple or mali yung sagot niya, we ask them to write it again. So, kunyari, sagot niya dito, apple, banana. So, mali yun. Cross out mo siya, tapos lagay mo dito, apple. Tapos susulat mo yung 3 beses. Apple, apple, apple. Parang ganun lang. Okay, tapos sulat mo yung name mo and time. Okay? So, that's the flow in the morning. Yun yung first 10 minutes siguro. Or on checking vocab and then giving quiz. And then after that, you can start with the lesson, whatever the lesson is. Okay? And then by the end of the class, after the second hour, yun na yung time na you will fill out naman yung homework mo. So parang time management din, teach. Kayang-kaya mo. Okay, normally ganun din naman ginagawa ng teachers. Hindi sila, baka pag break time nila, it's already for them. They don't really do anything. Okay, but if hindi mo kaya...
Teacher for the word recall po.
Yes, teach.
Ano yung isusulat?
Yung correct word, yung correct answer. So for example, the answer they wrote is apple with single P. So mali yung spelling, di ba? So isulat mo dito sa tabi yung tamang spelling. Tapos sabihan mo siya na, okay, sulat mo ng 3 beses. Apple, apple, apple. Yun lang. Ganun lang naman.
Mm.
Ulitin lang niya. Okay.
Opo.
Tapos, let's say, mali yung word mismo. Kunyari, sinulat niya banana. I-cross out mo siya, sulat mo apple. Tapos, ulit-ulit, apple, apple, apple. Ganun lang. Hindi mo na
Okay.
kailangan i-discuss kung ganito kasi yan, ganyan, ganyan. Parang don't make it complicated so that, just tell them, okay, mali. Kasi na-discuss na yun sa kanila and then alam naman nila yung meaning eh. Ano na nakalimutan lang siguro. Pero most of the time,
Mhm.
maganda naman yung scores nila sa ganito. Okay? So, mabilisan lang din yan. Okay? And
Yes.
then, so that's how you do the quiz challenge. And then, let's move forward na. After quiz challenge, you now have, ano pa bang meron dito? Library bank. Okay? What is this for? Uh, library bank, ito lang naman if it's not really for you to fill out. It's for them. Like, well, for example, the student would borrow a book from ICAN. So, dyan lang siya sinusulat. Para malaman lang natin na, oh, nang hiram si student and then here are the books that the student borrowed or read. Just for tracking.
Mhm.
So, basically, that's the purpose of it. Okay? So, yeah, that's the ICAN notebook. It's very, the ICAN Caterpillar or ICAN notebook is, it's more of a tracker than anything else. This is where we track the students' progress, and then
Mhm.
this. Oh no, wala. Wait. Yeah, this is where we track the students' progress and the basically the vocabulary quiz. Dito na siya mangyayari. So you don't need to ask them to get a piece of paper. They don't need to do that because we already have created something like that for them. Okay.
Opo.
So what's the difference of the? Of course, the 6 weeks it's longer, but let's see the grade 4. Let's see what difference there is. Okay, para mapakita mo rin bakit iba yung grade 4. Okay, let's just wait for this to load. Okay, so same naman for the monitoring. Nothing will change. It's just the same. The only difference is gonna be ayan, dito siya maiiba. Because the vocabulary is longer. So we have 14. So instead of 7 lang ibibigay mo sa kanya, 14 yung isusulat mo everyday na words. Now, which word are you gonna use? I mean, you can actually use the word, para hindi ka na rin mahirapan mag-isip. You can use the words from the book itself. So, if the book they're studying is about like science, okay, for example, of course there will be a vocabulary activity there. Now, let's say sobrang dami ng words doon, you can decide as a teacher, alin doon yung I think the student would need, right? Which of those words are important for my student? So, kung napansin mo, hindi niya maintindihan yung photosynthesis, for example. And then, edi yun yung ibigay mo sa kanya homework. Now, for them, you don't really need to give the definition. If it's grade 4 students, normally we don't give the definition. That's what I remember. Kasi yung grade 1 to 2, yun yung mga bata eh. Sobrang wala talaga silang idea magsulat ng definition. Pero for them, the reason why it's 14 is because mas matanda na sila. So, you just write the word, sila nang bahala sa lahat. For
Yes.
them, they don't really illustrate. Yung mga kids, ay yung
Mhm.
mga grade 4, grade 5 kids. Matanda na yan eh. They are already 12 or 10. So, hindi na sila kailangan mag-drawing. It doesn't make sense. So, what they do is they just write association. So, for example, what words can they associate to this word? So, for example, the word is politics. Kunyari, yun yung word na binigay mo. So, ang gagawin ni student, magsusulat siya ng translation, magsusulat niya yung meaning. Tapos, illustration, association, mag-iisip siya ngayon ng, parang gagawa siya ng web. This is what we ask them to do. Pwede pa ako mag-drawing? Hindi eh, pero ganito. Sige. Wait, tingnan natin what I can do. Okay. What we can do is to make them draw a web, a diagram. Okay? So, madali lang naman siya. For example, politics in the middle, and then they will draw a circle sa gitna. Tapos, they will write maybe two words. Ililink nila yung word na yon with other words. So, for example, politics, they can write down democracy, and then they can connect to election. Ganon. So, parang, for older students, they don't draw, but they draw a web. Parang association now. There's no specific rule. It's up to them how many words they will associate it with. Sometimes they can also write the exact associated words. Like, susulat nila dito, politics, election, president, democracy, yung ganon. So, sila nang bahala. And then you just review, tama ba yung association nyo? Kasi for example, politics, as ang sunulat niya dito, um, animals. So, parang, hala, hindi na, oh, siguro, buhaya. ano pala? Ano pala siya, metaphor pala. Anyway, yun. So, pag hindi related, sabihin mo, bakit ito yung sinulat mo? But most of the time, yeah, they will write connected words. And then, again, they will write a sentence here. And then, the revision part is for you to fill out. So, yun lang naman. So, I think, much easier to, even though 14 words yung lalagay mo, you just write the words. You don't need to. Now, paano kung wala ka na mabigang words? Pwede ka namang random words na lang. Okay? Just make sure na sa level ng student. So, kunyari, 7 words na nagamit mo na nasa book, wala ka nang mabigay. Kasi yung iba pa ulit-ulit na alam naman. Hindi na kailangan isulat. So, again, you only give words that they don't really understand. Diba? So, ang gawin mo na lang, mag-isip ka na lang ng, kunyari, grade 4 siya. Nung grade 4 ka, ano ba yung mga words na alam mo na? Or ikaw, nung elementary ka. So, ikaw na lang din maglagay. Technology, kunyari. Anything. Basta wag naman yung super complicated or super easy. So, there's internet naman. You can use Google. You can Google during class while they're doing it. While you're working on it, you can also search for the words that you need. Okay? So, same lang din naman. It's just that it's longer. And then, for the quiz, mas mahaba din yung quiz. Like this. 7:14. Okay, I will clarify, but I think 7:14, 21, 28. Oh, ganun. Mas marami. So, 40. Kasi tigsi 7 kayo. 7, 14. 7, 21, 28. 35, 42. Ayun. So, hanggang 42 lang siya kasi but if the student will have 4 classes, most of the time, the vocabulary will be done by the 3 teachers. Yung isa, most of the time, it's not related anymore to vocab. So it means it's not really, it's more of speaking. So mga TED class, they don't really do that in TED class. Or maybe the student is doing another subject. That is not anymore related to this. But again, this is just an extra space. If they will not do vocab, then there's no need. Okay? You will know naman at the beginning of class if you will do the vocab for the student. This thing. And then, yeah, that's the difference. Okay. And then same, we have the library books that we write, what books they borrowed and stuff. Okay. So do you have any questions so far, teacher?
None so far po, Teach.
So far clear naman. Hindi naman siya ganun ka-complicated. Parang medyo as is naman siya. Like, what you see is what you write. Yun lang naman din.
Sir, for the daily student monitoring report, hindi naman kailangan na parang i-follow namin yung order na, halimbawa, I'm the second teacher, pero as much as possible, pag nasundan naman niya yung time, doon ako sa pangalawa magsusulat kasi I'm the second teacher.
Yes, oo, ganun. Kasi teacher minsan, baka absent si teacher, di ba? Kunyari absent yung first teacher niya. Ngayon, hindi naman magiging blanco pa rin yun. Kasi pag absent yung teacher, meron namang magsasub for him or her. So, meron pa rin magsusulat. So, by the time na nasa yun na yung notebook, alam mo na kung saan ka magsusulat kasi makikita mo may nagsulat na sa una. Now, The only problem is, if hindi nasusulat yung unang teacher, kunyari, ay later na ako magsusulat sa lunchtime, hihinamin ko na lang.
Mm.
So magiging blanco to ngayon. And it won't be a problem naman if you're gonna write here kasi nakasulat naman kung anong oras ka nagturo eh. Pero,
Opo.
mas maganda kung you will know naman eventually na parang, oh, dito na ako kasi pangalawa akong teacher. So, always naman na dito ka na. So, pag nakita mong
Opo.
blanco to, kunyari one day blanco to, edi alam mong kay teacher yan, baka hindi lang siya nagsulat. So, dito ka pala magsulat. Okay? You will know naman that
Yes.
you can ask the student,
Yes.
am I your first teacher for today? If sinabi niyang, yes, edi alam mo na dito ka. If sinabi niyang, you're the
Opo.
third, tas bakante pa to pareho, first day, ba't di nagsulat yung dalawa? Then dito ka na lang magsulat, just to give them the space. But even though you do it here, next week naman, or the next day, alam na nung susunod yun. So dito sila magsusulat. So, alam mo, susunod lang. From left to right. Okay? From left to right,
Yes.
up to down.
Mm.
Tama ba? O yan, ganyan. So, ganun yung flow.
Yes.
Okay, so, ayun, that's the ICAN Caterpillar. It's, every day the student will have to bring it home because their parents will see this. But, as for the teacher, you can borrow this anytime. Okay? You can borrow this. But, of course, you shouldn't bring it home. So, as much as possible, try to borrow it during the break time. Kasi gagamitin din ng teacher na nauna sa'yo or yung susunod sa'yo because they will use it for vocab. So kaya nga mas maganda, sulat mo na lahat para hindi mo na rin hahanapin si student. Kunyari, in your classroom, dumating siya tapos lilipat na siya sa susunod niyang class kasi helamin mo yan. It means you need to return. So hahabulin mo pa siya, di ba? So I
Opo.
really recommend that you fill this out during class para hayahay ka na. Okay? Alright, so I guess that's basically all for Caterpillar. We'll take a quick break, and then we will discuss the other activities, okay? That you need to do.
Yes.
Okay? Stop recording.